Oi, welcome to another video on the channel, man. If you watched our episode of the run home to Rugby League 26, I did feel like would see something before the game actually came out, as in someone would probably get their hands on a copy, and what do you know, 3 days early someone got their hands on a PS5 physical edition. So they uploaded pictures of proof as well as little mobile clips of gameplay, which I'll be honest, I was not keen on dissecting some more handheld recordings of League 26. Look, breaking down a damn mobile recording of the trailer after an 80-year wait, so that's how we find out, or that's how we get a glimpse of gameplay? Yeah, I was not keen. I don't know, I feel like we just deserved something proper. Fast forward a few hours later, someone ended up streaming it, and I'm not too sure if it's the same person, but there was a fair bit of footage to skim through, over an hour's worth, and yeah, well here, someone asked me what my thoughts were on this leaked gameplay, and I'm here to give you that, and some clarifications from Ross himself. So my initial thoughts prior to seeing any gameplay leak, my expectations are pretty much based off the leaked playtest notes we got from Kaza, which in short, to him felt like a polished version of Rugby League Live 4. Now this is probably gonna suck for those that don't like League Live 4, but in my opinion, and I'll die on this hill, building from Rugby League Live 4's foundation is the best case scenario, as it is a pretty good starting point for them to pretty much pick up where they left off, if you will, they being Big Ant Studios. Again, I've always said it, some preferred League Live 3, some League Live 2, but I've always said if they aren't starting from scratch, building from League Live 4's foundation would be the best case scenario. And judging from what I've seen and from what Kaza has said about the game, looks like that's pretty much what we're about to get. This version though that you'll be seeing playing in the background looks like a pretty early build of the game, and I only say that because there's no commentary. Most of the time on the 5th tackle the AI is running it when they're outside of the red zone, so clearly the game in that state won't be the same come launch and the download of the day 1 patch, which we won't be able to see, by the way, until July 17th when it goes live to actually download, unless we see something later with I'm pretty sure some NRL content creators got invited to an event, and it'll be interesting to see what build they'll be playing on. If it'll be this limited build with unfinished player models and no commentary and what looks to be a limited gameplay. So I do think it'll be pretty unfair to judge this gameplay in its current state. What we can fairly criticize is the look of the UI, the aesthetic, the menus and all that, and I actually really like the way it looks. From the scoreboard to the player plates, the stinger. The stinger looks something like I would make. It's just clean. It's a clean aesthetic. Unfortunately, we didn't get any answers to set plays yet. Out of all that footage we saw, I didn't see one attempt at a set play formation being manually formed or an automatic substitute. Sorry, an on-the-fly substitute. That too has still been a lingering question. The whole set play system, will we see that make a return, as well as the on-the-fly interchanges? What I did notice in these gameplays was the same attacking formations. They were just randomly placed at certain points on the field, and I was keeping a close eye on if there was any new ones, and they did all look pretty familiar, or similar, sorry. So my overall thoughts of this is it pretty much did look unfinished, and we can't really give it a proper judgment until we get the game in our hands ourselves and apply that day 1 patch. Of course, if you're still unsure, you can always watch gameplays by myself, or I'd recommend Insane, who plays the game similar to I mean, if you know, you know. Let's move on to some of the things that Ross had to say about the recent backlash due to this leaked footage. Alright, so we'll start with a few statements. Addressing the situation as a whole, it says, or he says, "It's unfortunate that the servers were not blocking play, as we did not expect this to be leaked into the wild. We should know better. And some people have had early access to the game before the day 1 update. No matter what drops in the next few days, come 9 AM on July 17, there'll be hundreds of hours of streams to dive into, watch, explore, make up your own mind. No one's pressuring you to purchase. Take your time and decide what's right for you. In the meantime, perhaps chill a bit." This statement was posted after the Facebook streets and the Twitter streets were tweaking, which if I didn't know any better, I would too, but the same thing happened in the lead up to Rugby League Live 4 being released. someone got their hands on a copy and played it without the day one patch, and it felt like the game was DOA because the person that got it had a lot of influence on Facebook, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of followers. So prejudgments were made from bad word of mouth, thus resulted in an 8-year drought. He did say something else that was pretty interesting, again just addressing the most commonly asked questions. So he says, there will be all new commentary, not one line from Rugby League Live 4 on Thursday. You will know the NRL commentators from the trailer, they're both heard. You do hear Cam Smith at the end of the trailer. Super League has its own commentary. The game has an all new academy, stadium creation, etc. That's our all brand new, not one line of code from Rugby League Live 4. NRLW and Women's Super League obviously from the ground up. There have been a lot of rule changes since Rugby League Live 4, they have all been implemented. And this is the most important, or what stood out to me the most. The animation is not all new, but the feel of the game is. It is certainly a lot smoother and more responsive than Rugby League Live 4. So although it may look the same with the animations and stuff, he's saying that it does feel like a different game when playing, which I'm keen to get amongst it and feel for myself. He did end up answering a few more questions in regards to player ratings. This one in particular, someone had asked, are the ratings we are seeing right now the real ratings for the latest version, because how can players like Galvin and Lindsay Smith be rated higher than Cleary, who was literally on the cover? I haven't said anything about the ratings yet. We should touch on that because the ratings are absolutely diabolical. I think the highest rated player I saw was James Tedesco at like a 94. And then like this person said Galvin, he's higher than like Cleary. Tino Fa'asua Maleaui, Tino's like low 80s I saw. Galvin, higher than those bona fide superstars of our league is insanity. But yeah, anyway, rest assured, Ross came with an answer. He said definitely not up to date statistics. It's unfortunate that a server issue with PlayGo allowed the game earlier on disc version to be played. We'll fix that. It's no longer playable until 17th of July. So when I said asked who decides on player ratings, you've got Bevan French at a 75, who's one of, if not the best player in the Super League, and James Harrison from Warrington in 81. And again, he just said none of the ratings being seen are final. It'll be interesting to know how they scale the ratings. In my opinion, they should scale everyone in comparison to the NRL, as the NRL is the gold standard. So if someone like Bevan French, who is the best in Super League, he shouldn't be on the level as a player that's one of the best in the NRL, in my opinion. That goes for the NRLW as well in comparison to the Super League women, or is it the WSL? My apologies if I got that wrong. But there's a clear difference in skill between the NRLW and the Super League comparison. Now if we're talking pro team and certain players get special cards and special ratings, then I'm all for that. But for the base game, I think the highest rated players should all be from the NRL. Then again, in saying that, I could see how that could be problematic for, say, pro team. No one would have any Super League players in their teams if that were the case. So I guess I wouldn't be surprised if the Super League had their own versions of high tier 90 overall players and whatnot. It's definitely one to watch. Since we brought up pro team, we'll go to a couple of questions that were asked about that. Someone had asked if you can just press the button already and launch the game, as people already have access to it, and Ross had said the Rugby League 26 pro team is competitive and we can't have others having an advantage. All accounts / leaderboards will be reset to 0 at 9 AM at Melbourne time on 17 July to be fair for all. And then Anthony Basher had asked him about Ultimate Team and Legends. And unfortunately, he says current players to start with, hoping we will be able to get Legends on board later. That sucks. I was hoping to pack some Legends right away. I do hope they get as many Legends as they can. There's such a huge pool to pull from. And that pretty much covers everything. It's been a wild couple of hours. Some lad got the game 3 days early. People caught wind of the gameplay and have already jumped to conclusions. Like I said, or like I've said to people in my comments, I'll make a judgment on the game once I get it in my hands, with the patch applied and a few hours put into it. Until then, keep your eyes peeled for these NRL content creators. I think they're Instagrammers and TikTokers that have apparently been invited to check out the game early. If it's the proper build they're playing on, then I'll talk about it. If not, the next Rugby League 26 video you'll see from me will be on July 17th. Until then, we've got a couple episodes left of the run home to Rugby League 26. Keep your eyes peeled for that. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to run a straight at that like button, and for more rugby league related content, more content in general, go ahead and drop your boy a cheeky sub. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you later.